Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever the fuck you're watching this. We'll tear that Band-Aid off right away. This is the Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports. Big Stove, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, bud. Doing good. What about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Trying to bring the energy up a little bit. I've been a little draggy today, so threw some coffee on, and we're
Oh,
ready to roll.
good. It's Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. How was your weekend of football viewing?
You know, Gary, we're just gonna tear the Band-Aid right off, bud. We're just gonna tear it right off.
We can jump right in. You're the only fan of the show that had a team in the playoffs, or the only person on the show that had a team in the playoffs, because Raul's not here right now. He may join us later, but I'll let you tear the Band-Aid off if you would like.
You know, it wasn't a great weekend for us Cowboys fans, for sure. But I have been rooting for some other teams. So how about them Tiger Kings, baby?
Yeah, buddy. Bengals.
Bengals got the job done. Tiger King, Jamar Chase got the job done. And it was, I said it last week. It was a tough decision for me because I had picked the Raiders early on in the season to make the playoffs and make a good push. So it was definitely nice to see that happen. But at the same time, you know, last year we kind of saw what this Cincy team could be. And now that they added Jamar Chase this year with a healthy Joe Burrow, man, watch out. Watch out. And truthfully, I don't think they're a one and done in the playoff type of team here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Tennessee better not be looking past them.
Yeah.
Better not be looking past them. And we'll preview that matchup later. But, yeah, I'm with you, man. The Bengals get it done. You know, what did it end up being? It was a tight game.
Yeah, it was a 26-19 game.
Yeah, there we go. We'll bring that in here.
Yeah, 26-19 game. But it didn't seem like it was that close of a ball game until the very end.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Derek Carr, right? He never says die, and people can jump all over Carr all they want for various things. He fumbles a lot, and you know, they don't hit a lot of big plays, but they don't really have the receivers to hit big plays. And I've got a Raiders fan I've been going back and forth with the last few weeks on Derek Carr. He can't stand him and yada yada yada. And I keep telling him, like, that's a bottom 10 roster that just made the playoffs. Like, that's not a good roster. I don't care, you know, if you want to bag on Derek Carr, but what I'm telling you is that that's not a very good roster that just made the playoffs. So Derek Carr's doing something right, and he keeps them in games. He can bring them back late. And the last thing I said in closing, in terms of my argument for Derek Carr, is if you don't want him, I'll take him. Bring him to fucking DC, man. Bring him to DC. I'll take him all day.
There's plenty of teams that would take a Derek Carr.
There's at least 16 teams that would take Derek Carr on their roster.
Yeah.
So, you know, the Raiders season ends in disappointing fashion. You know, you never want to lose. Obviously, 31 teams are disappointed in their season, right? At the end of the day, and one team wins the Super Bowl. But if I'm the Raiders, I feel good about the roster I have right now that I can build on, right? Because we made the playoffs, and we have a lot of holes in this roster, but we have some things that can work for us. Josh Jacobs is a good running back in this league. Derek Carr can make some things happen. And on the back of how Derek Carr plays the game, Hunter Renfrow has become a really good slot receiver. After his career started, he was an afterthought. That was a bad pick by a bad regime out of Clemson. And now this year, suddenly him and Carr have some chemistry and they get it going. And Renfrow ends up with 1,000 receiving yards. And now he's being regarded as one of the handful best, maybe, slot receivers in the league. So they've got some things in place that if they can build an offensive line that is good, not great. That defensive line needs some help outside of Max Crosby. They really need help at linebacker and DB. I think that team, and then you have to put some wide receivers on the outside. Obviously, the Henry Ruggs thing hurts that.
Yeah. But even you said it was a bottom half team that made the playoffs. They had Henry Ruggs go out with the tragic event. They had Darren Waller out towards the later part of the season with injury. You had Josh Jacobs throughout the season battling injuries, missing some games and everything else like that. So you had some key people throughout the season, and it's just like everybody else. Okay, don't get me wrong; they're just like every other 31 teams that are out there in the NFL. But when you have some key, like, and when I say key, like these are key people. It's just like if Aaron Rodgers had Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and whatever his tight end is, all go out. Okay, that's a different team.
Yep.
That is a different team. The flip side of it is Green Bay still has a better defense, and I'm not trying to compare, apples to apples, apples to oranges here. I'm just trying to make a comparison here to where it can happen to any other team. But with all the distractions that they did have as well, for them to put it together and make the playoffs, that says something.
Yeah, that's a big deal for them for sure. But to flip the script and talk about Cincinnati, and I'm going to do it again. I said it a few times throughout the season. Them picking Jamar Chase over the obvious need of an offensive lineman was a brilliant move, right? They still need to work on that offensive line, but Joe Burrow negates a lot of issues for that offensive line with the way he gets the ball out quick. He's decisive. He can move, very athletic, deceptively athletic. You don't think about Joe Burrow as being super athletic when you talk about Joe Burrow, the quarterback. He makes up for a lot of mistakes from that offensive line with his decisiveness and his ability to escape. And the chemistry that he and Chase have is undeniable. They are in sync all the time. And there was one throw this weekend where Burrow threw it outside and Chase started to break inside. And I had the feeling, and even on the broadcast, they had the feeling like, whoa, what just happened? Like, these guys are always on the same page. To have that in year one, obviously it's not year one for them working together, but still only their second year together and their first year in the pros is unreal. And the AFC North better fucking be on notice that that's going to be a real problem for the next 10, 12, 15 fucking years. That is an unbelievable duo.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go back to Cincy and Tiger King getting the job done, getting their first playoff victory in the modern text message era is just absolutely amazing. And then this, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Zach Taylor and I can't remember who else.
The punter.
Huber. That's right. Yeah. Yep. After the game,
I believe Huber is their longest tenured player, so it makes sense.
Yeah. They go to a local bar after the game and basically give that bar the game ball and said, "This is for you guys." And Zach Taylor, who I have somewhat of a soft spot in my heart for because he played at Nebraska under the Bill Callahan era, unfortunately, but still a former Nebraska player who is now head coach and who we've said on here, my buddies that are Cincy fans, Zach Taylor definitely got a longer leash than most head coaches do in the NFL. I mean, especially if you look at it this year with the Black Monday after the NFL season and how many second-year head coaches or even first-year head coaches got fired in the league. And we're, fourth year for Zach Taylor here? Yeah. And it truly, it was a win or be done season for Zach Taylor. I think in everybody's mind. Yeah. They got the job done. He got their first victory. I don't think if you made the playoffs, I still don't think that he would have been there next year. But I think that the relationship with Burrow, his second year with Burrow, and getting that victory over over Las Vegas this last week, that cemented Zach Taylor in being there for another couple years now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's his team now. Mm-hmm. And we're going to see how high they can fly. I don't think, I'm with you. I don't think we can just say, yeah, they won a game and now they're done this year. So they're so dynamic on offense that, it's going to be a tall task for people to shut that offense down. All right, moving on to a fucking shellac.
Like what?
What's most amazing about this game is that Buffalo pitched the NFL's version of a perfect
Thank
game.
you for bringing that up. Thank you. I didn't know if you would.
They gained every yard and scored every point with the exception of 2 extra points, 1 blocked, 1 missed, that they could have in that game. But they gained every yard that they could have in that game.
And aside from the kneel downs towards the end.
Right. Every drive ended in a touchdown with the exception of the kneel downs at the end, right? So they pitched a perfect game. No punts, no turnovers, no field goals. And to top it off, to make it the most perfect game, it came against the evil empire and Darth Vader himself, Bill Belichick, 47-17, and it wasn't even that close.
And they were what, the number 5 ranked defensive team?
New England came in, I think, number 2 scoring and number 5 overall.
Okay, yeah.
So you're talking about you're playing against a stout defense.
That Buffalo team looked fucking ridiculous.
Unstoppable.
Dude, that's the team but here's the thing though. Here's the thing. That's the Buffalo team that we saw last year on several weeks last year.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we've seen it
really
all year. And if that is a sign of what is to come, everybody watch the fuck out because that team is unstoppable.
Yeah. You Chiefs fans are going home with your hat in your hands if that Buffalo team shows up next week to Arrowhead. Like that was unreal. Josh Allen was so perfect in his decision making to tuck and run, to the decisions he was making in the passing game. Obviously, you don't go 7 for 7 on touchdowns without that happening, but it was just unreal. And Devin Singletary continues to run the ball well for that offense. That is a big difference for them to be able to turn around, put the ball into someone's belly. They were just waiting for someone to step up, whether it was Moss or Mostert or Singletary. And Singletary's been the guy to take that baton and run. And to be able to turn around, stick the ball into somebody's belly and know that you're going to be able to threaten the defense takes so much pressure off of Josh Allen. And we saw that materialize this weekend in Buffalo against the evil empire, just crushed them in all phases of the game. On the other side of the coin, though, what does this mean for New England? Are they this far away from contending? Was some of that mid-season rush that we saw from them smoke and mirrors? Or do you think this offseason they retool and kind of figure it out?
I think they retool and kind of figure it out this offseason. The one thing that we had been making mention of for the past couple weeks on the show was the way New England was playing offensively. Defensively, they weren't playing too bad. It was the offensive side of things. So I think if Mac Jones and company get on have an off season to really work, to really gel together, and kind of know the grueling task at hand of an NFL season.
Now a game longer too.
Now a game longer. Yep. So I think that will pay dividends for them come next year and down the road. But yeah, I don't think it's the end or anything like that for Mac Jones or anything else. The one thing, and this actually might be a cap or facts question, so I'll save it for later. But it was just, we all picked Buffalo last week, and we had said New England, they're trending downwards. To me, New England was trending just like the Arizona Cardinals had been trending the past few weeks. Hadn't been playing good offensively. Defensively, not too bad. But you have to. This is playoff football. You have to have both. You have to actually have all three aspects of your game in order to win. If you don't have all three, see you next season. It's that type of mentality. And like I said, rookie quarterback. I think the weight of the 18-week NFL season, just kind of took its toll on Mac Jones down the stretch. And he was asked to do, he came from Alabama. Okay. Good for him. Okay. But I think there was a lot more weight and a lot more pressure put onto him as a rookie quarterback, than and playing in New England as well. That kind of just it bogged him down. But be prepared for Mac Jones to have a bounce back second half season next year.
Yeah, I think you make good points, right? There's the rookie wall is a real thing. And, we saw it a bit from Herbert last year. His last few games were not great. And we started to see some of it from Mac this year too. And of course, you're playing teams that you've already played once before. The film's out there, all the things we talk about, all the cliches too, right? Once defensive coordinators have film, they can study and start to figure out your weaknesses. It's going to be big to see what sort of adjustments Mac and the Patriots make this off season. I think one big thing to take away from that game is the Patriots defense looked slow. And I know Belichick has been super successful with retreads, vets that, are kind of cast-offs from other places. But I think a lot of these guys, and you look at like McCourty's been there forever, Van Noy's been there forever, and on down the list of guys that have either been there forever or they're on the back nine of their career. I think we're starting to see that there's going to be some onus from the Patriots this offseason to get faster on defense too, because the Bills are just running circles around them.
Yeah.
When weather's not a factor, we see that the Bills can really just run away from the Patriots. So that's, I think, the bigger thing. I think offensively they're going to be okay, and it's just going to be Mac getting in the film room and studying and getting more and more familiar with the offense. They gave him a lot of responsibility this year, but the more he gets familiar with that offense, obviously, the better he's going to be in terms of commanding that offense. And I think that's going to be the big thing offensively. But defensively, I think is where we're going to see Bill Belichick really go out and retool as much as he possibly can, whether that's through the draft or through free agency.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. So Bills Mafia, big win there. A lot of folding tables, I'm sure, were broken over the weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on, though, Tampa Bay stomps Philadelphia. Just really put the lights out on Philadelphia. I'm going to say it. I posted it on Facebook twice during the game. I've probably posted it on Facebook
yes, you have
30 times this year. Jalen Hurts is not an NFL quarterback. That dude is fucking lost when they ask him to stay in the pocket and actually make a read on a defense and make a throw downfield. Fucking lost. They should have gone to Minshew at halftime because the game wasn't completely lost at that point. I don't think they were going to come back anyway, but that offense is absolutely stale with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, especially when you get a defense like the Buccaneers that has team speed, but also a coordinator that understands how to shut down the zone read. We saw it numerous times in that game, early in that game, where the running back was getting blown up and then Jalen Hurts had nowhere to go because Devin White was stalking him. So that's how you stop that offense. And we saw Philly is fucking useless, stale when they're asking Jalen Hurts to go back and try to throw the ball. His eyes are on the ground. Like, as soon as he feels any sort of just uncomfortability in the pocket, it's amazing. His head just goes down, and I'm like, you can't play quarterback like that, man.
You say that, and we said that in the national championship game as well with Stetson Bennett. When he was scrambling and rolling out of the pocket, his head would go down as well too. So yeah, it's definitely something that you cannot do. You can't, as a quarterback in the NFL, you have to have Yeah, you have to have your eyes downfield, surveying the field at all times. But you made a great point there that I was actually kind of shocked that they didn't do this as well, and that was put Minshew Mania. I,
Yeah.
I really did think that with the way things were going with Jalen, that Minshew brings a spark. I don't care where he's played. Every time that he has gone in either to start the game or come in at halftime or whenever fourth quarter, like he brings a spark.
Yep.
And that is what the Eagles needed. They needed something. And he was that guy that could have brought that to them and got something going for him.
Yep.
But the Eagles decided to stay with, their non-NFL quarterback. And it was just, to be honest with you, it was somewhat embarrassing, to be honest with you. I mean, it was worse than the Buffalo New England game was a blowout score-wise, but the Philadelphia Tampa Bay game was more of a competitive. It was more of a competitive blowout.
Yeah.
To me, it still was a blowout. I mean, Philadelphia, they scored there towards the later part of the game, but really, I mean, that was just showing, Tampa Bay was just doing whatever Tampa Bay wanted to. Really, now they did get some key people back. Levante David got back. Evans was out there. They didn't have Leonard Fournette out there, but he could be a go this week. Haven't heard on that one.
Early in the week last week, they thought he might play. So I would suspect that hamstrings can be goofy.
Yeah.
So maybe.
But they could be pulling a Baltimore Ravens thing here too, with saying the same thing that they were saying about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So
downplaying it.
So yeah.
Yeah, Josh. The thing is that neither team, with the exception of the game we're going to talk about here in a little bit, like New England was the 5 seed, right? So New England would have gotten in even under the old system. Philly got in because the NFC was just down this year.
NFC was down. Yeah, it was.
And like Pittsburgh got in, it was a nice story. So I'm okay with it. I actually like the fact that only one team gets a bye. I get another playoff game from each conference, on opening weekend. I think, I don't know. The blowouts are blowouts. And like I said, the 5 seed got blown out. I don't know. I just think that the NFC was down. And beyond Tampa, Green Bay, and the Rams now that they've really asserted themselves, I just think beyond those 3, the NFC is just really bad. So, in Arizona, right? Arizona got blown out. They were the 5 seed. So I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to agree with you on that one, Josh, in terms of the extra playoff team not being needed, because I feel like the NFC is just bad, and that was kind of what we were going to get. This week we should have really good, really competitive games now that we've kind of weeded out those teams that, obviously the Philly and the Arizona. We talked about how Arizona's been trending down forever, and like Philly snuck in just because of how bad the NFC is. So I think this coming weekend we're going to see some real competitive stuff, and that's not to say that like that doesn't help his point that less playoff teams, but I just think, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that I like it. What about you, Stove?
I'm trying to compare it to baseball, okay? Because baseball, they've been saying, I think this was it the first year, or this might have been the second year
with the extra wild card? With
the extra wild card, because of some good teams not getting in. If you look back, and I'll bring up maybe it was 2006 or so, or 2015, 2016, 17, all in that area. You had I'm going to the NL Central here on it. Okay.
Yeah.
You had the Cardinals winning the Central Division. The Cubs were the wild card. The Cubs played Pittsburgh, beat the Pirates, and then played the Cardinals. But that was a 95 win wild card team. Same thing. I want to say the next year or 2 years after that, and then this year with San Francisco and the Dodgers. Like you had a 104 team win Dodgers against 100, maybe a 99 or 100 win Dodger team.
Yeah.
Like, that I think, and that's why I'm happy that baseball has gone to the extra wild card, because I think some of those teams are very deserving. Like this year, like you said, NFC's been down. And I'm an NFC guy with Dallas and everything else like that. So yeah, NFC's down. So this year, I don't know who else you would put in there. You know what I mean? For those extra spots, or who you would have for buys. I guess go with your go with the number 2 seeds as as a buy.
Ended up with the extra buy.
Yeah.
I think you make a good point, right, with the baseball thing, and that to me is why they did. But it's also money, right? There's no question that they're making more money with more games on TV. So the NFL is never going to go back.
No, and that's why they went to a Monday night game too.
Going forward, we're probably going to end up with 16 teams in the playoffs at some point, with all the money they can make, and there'll be no buys, and everybody can just suck it up. But before we get there, I think over the course of 5 to 10 years, we're going to see more situations where teams are getting in that wouldn't have gotten in before, and they make a run in the playoffs, right? So both 7 seeds lost this time, but look at the Giants when they won the Super Bowl as a wild card, right? There are wild card teams that get in and go win the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay last year did it, right? So, and they weren't the 7 seed, or the 6 seed, but you're going to see more teams get in that wouldn't have gotten in than I think teams get in that we say, they probably shouldn't have been in. So I think over the long run, it's going to be a good thing. All right, let's move on. And we're going to talk about, we got a lot to talk about with this game. San Francisco.
Do we do.
San Francisco and Dallas. San Francisco shoots out to a big lead, and then Dallas gets bailed out by Jimmy G. Terrible interception. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Lets him back in the game. Dak engineers a touchdown, as you should, with a short field like that. Cuts it to a 1-score game. San Fran does what Kyle Shanahan does and shits down their leg late in games trying to close them out, and gives Dallas the ball back with some time potentially to go down and score and take the lead. It's not a lot of time, after the first opportunity.
Yeah, and they didn't have any timeouts left too. So
yeah, so you got a long field and whatnot. But of course, Dallas is chunking down the field, and we get to the 50-yard line. And Dallas does something that I've never seen it. And 2, I would never have thought was even a possibility. They run a quarterback draw with 14 seconds left. Now, if you get 10 yards, you line up on the ball and you spike it, you're going to run the play with probably 3 to 4 seconds left, right?
Yep.
But instead, Dak runs 25 yards down the field.
It was 17. It was 17.
Whatever it was.
Well, hey.
But he doesn't know that he's got to give the ball to the official. Tony Romo is on the broadcast screaming, "Give the ball to the ref! Give the ball to the ref!" Because he knows the ref has to spot the ball.
Yeah, not the center. Not the center.
Exactly. And certainly not the center spotting it 2 yards past the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was more like a half a yard.
Still. The ref has to spot the ball, though. And that's lack of awareness on Dak's part. So Dak's culpable in it. But calling the play, what are you doing? And Mike McCarthy after the game was like, would you rather run a play from the 50 or a play from the 25? I'd rather run 2 plays from the 50 than 0 plays from the 25. So, and then after the game, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but everybody's talking about the ref. The ref did his job, right? The ref did his job. Yeah. Yeah, I am relishing it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
the ref did his job. So there's zero room for complaint with that because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. It's failure to execute on the Cowboys' part. All right. I've had my moment on my soapbox. I'm going to pass your way. What are your thoughts after this game?
No, I'm in total agreement with you here. And I hate to say it, but I am. The play call, like I said, in our group text, I didn't mind the play call, but it's situational awareness. Like you were mentioning with you have to hand the ball to the ref. If you look at the New England teams with Tom Brady or the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, whenever those receivers would catch the ball, they would run and find the referee and hand him the damn ball. So you are totally 1000% correct right there. Like, hand the ball to the official. That's coaching. That's on coaching right there. Okay. Mike McCarthy, that's on you. The situational awareness, though, for after the fact, you knew how much time you had. When you got up, or as you're running down the field, okay, your eyes are obviously going all over the place. And it's a designed quarterback run. In the back of your mind, you kind of have to know like how much time you have left. Okay. It's that mental clock. It's just like if you were in the pocket, you have a mental clock in there that's going off that's saying 2 seconds. Like I got to start moving, like this and that, get the ball out. Okay. It's that repetitive mental clock awareness right there. Okay. Dallas was a second half team in this one, but here's where I'm not putting it all on Dak and Mike McCarthy on that last drive. Okay. If you look at the whole game, Dallas gave up almost 200 yards rushing. They had like 14, 15 penalties, something like that. Just unheard of. Okay. They gave up 5 sacks, and Dak completed probably less than 70%.
He was under 60.
Even worse.
Yeah.
So you put all of that together, and then I went on my soapbox last week on Ezekiel Elliott. Okay. I'll save it. But when you, as an offense, only have under 80 yards rushing, you're putting it all on Dak, who Dak as of late hasn't been Dak. He's been hit and miss aside from last week's game. Okay. There are numerous times there where Dallas hurt themselves throughout the entire game. I'm not putting it all on Dallas and Dak and Mike McCarthy on that last play, but when you have less than 80 yards rushing, you have less than 60% completion percentage, you have over 14 penalties, and give up 5 sacks and give up almost 200 yards rushing, you're not going to win.
And you mentioned coaching, and I feel like it's just to be defiant or something. The Cowboys have come out and said they fully expect Mike McCarthy to be back.
I do not like it.
What are you?
I never liked the hire to begin with.
What are you doing? Because as you mentioned, right, it's the discipline, right? And you look back at Mike McCarthy with the Packers, they were a pretty heavily penalized team too. Mm-hmm. It's discipline, it's lack of accountability, and 14 fucking penalties. That's too much. And it's not like they were ticky-tack. Oh, it might have been. Like Randy Gregory standing in the backfield on an offsides call.
Yeah,
Randy Gregory, 2-hand bear hug tackles an offensive lineman. Randy Gregory got away with punching Deebo Samuel in the back of the head. It didn't get caught. Like
I did not see that one.
I saw it, and I didn't bitch too much about it because a lot of that shit does go on.
Yeah.
But like that's the sort of undisciplined shit that goes on a Mike McCarthy coached team.
Yeah, I don't
that
like
you
it
can't
one
have.
bit. Yeah, exactly.
Have it. Connor Williams is a problem too. Like, you guys need to find a replacement for him. And I know it's not easy to just find offensive linemen, but that dude is so out of position with his feet all the time. 2 of those I think he ended up with 3, maybe it was only 2, but on either 2 of the 3 or both of his holding fouls, his feet were out of position and he had nothing left to do but to just grab the guy. Like, that's bad. That's bad. And that's just not. And then the first half performance, they are so unprepared. Everybody knew what San Francisco was going to fucking do.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you doing, Dallas? Like, you're the only team, you're the fucking only people that didn't know?
Yeah.
Golly. I felt like Scott Turner and fucking Jack Del Rio were out there calling plays for you guys. Like, it was so unprepared. You had no game plan. It was like Mike McCarthy said on Tuesday, "Hey guys, we're just going to roll the football out there, and then we'll see you next week in the."
Well, I even made mention of it. I even made mention of it that Dallas looked like a Washington football team right now.
Yeah, it was so bad, like
so bad. Yeah, and
then for them to come out and say they expect him to be back, like, oh god, what
are you
doing? What are you doing?
To be honest with you, and I said it the other night too. You know, I anticipated him to be fired. And I still do. I really still do. Like, and they said, Steven came out and said, or Jerry came out and said that, they didn't want to do what they repeat history here with Chan Gailey back in the late 90s.
Repeat history with Jason Garrett.
Yeah, please. I'd rather have Jason Garrett over Mike McCarthy, to be honest with you. This coaching hire, it was between McCarthy and Marvin Lewis.
Yeah,
I would have rather had Marvin Lewis. I was excited, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really was, just because I kind of know his coaching style by just watching him with the Bengals throughout all the years. Not that I didn't watch McCarthy and the Packers, but who Lewis spends his time with, and one of his good friends is Tony Dungy and Herm Edwards.
Yeah, he's down there in Arizona State.
He's down there with Herm right now, down in Arizona State. So just knowing who he associates with himself and those type of coaches, like, I was excited for them to interview him, but I was also hoping that they would hire him as well. And to be honest with you, it's just been a letdown with McCarthy. And you can take last year and Dak Prescott getting injured and, having the season that you had and everything else like that. But you had Andy Dalton in your back pocket too, though. Like, he's been a NFL quarterback for a franchise.
Won some games.
Yeah.
Speaking of Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of games with Marvin Lewis.
Exactly. So it's not like you had a traditional backup who is just getting their feet wet. You had a proven true quarterback who's gotten the job done before, just not in the playoffs. Yeah. But so on this one, man, it hurt. And like I said, like I told you guys, I don't mind you guys giving me shit. I'll take it from you guys. It's that Stephen A. Smith that I just cannot stand giving him any satisfaction. I just cannot stand it.
Yeah. So, Brandon, real quick. Yeah, we did talk about the Bills game a minute ago, but just a quick recap.
Congrats to you guys there. Congrats.
Perfect game. Pitched a perfect game, and it was against Belichick. Fucking amazing. Amazing. If that Buffalo team shows up at Arrowhead this weekend, AFC Championship game, Buffalo against whoever wins that Tennessee-Cincy matchup, because that team looked fucking unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk about it now. Now that we're on the game.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
gonna give one quick aside, and then we can talk about kind of the bigger picture, non-game related. But the thing that, like, I wish Jerry Jones could see past the 12-5 record, because that team was 6-0 against the NFC East and 6-5 against everybody else, and they were like 1-4 or something against teams that made the playoffs this year. So, like, that team isn't that close to the Super Bowl, and that team needs something better than Mike McCarthy in the fucking driver's seat, because he's not the answer. You have too many weapons for that team to be fucking 1-4 against playoffs.
You have way too many weapons.
It's unreal.
Way too many.
You've got a defense that created 20-some turnovers this year. You got Trevon Diggs fucking picking off 11. You got Micah Parsons winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then you got all the money you've paid for Cooper and Dak and Zeke, and you've got Gallup, and you've got Pollard, and Dalton Schultz is a revelation this year, man.
Yeah.
So there's too many weapons there for that team to be that far from being competitive. Without that Jimmy Garoppolo interception, like, I think Dallas loses by a couple scores. I don't think they were going to generate anything.
I agree with you. Totally agree. Yep.
But last thing I want to talk about with this is what happened after the game. We give Philly fans a really hard time around here because it's that meme, right? Or that Hogwarts meme of like, why is it that every time something goes wrong, it's you three, and it's a Philly fan climbing a greased pole, one throwing snowballs at Santa, and one punching a geriatric lady because she's a Vikings fan, right? Not this weekend. Dallas fans showed their whole ass this weekend. And it started with everybody highlighting the fact that they were throwing shit at the players on their way out the field. And there's the one clip of, I think it was DeMarcus Lawrence blocked a water bottle with his helmet, or else it might have hit him in the fucking face, right? You can't have that. You can't have that. Don't go to fucking games and just embarrass yourself like that. And I hope every person that threw something at a player, or as we're going to talk about in a moment, at a ref, is caught on video and banned from the fucking stadium for life, because that shit is, as coach from Letterkenny, how I put it earlier this week, that shit is fucking embarrassing, and I need a trash can to fucking boot down the street, because that, you can't have that.
No.
There's no place for it, man.
No.
There is no place for it.
Nope, none whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I totally agree with you. And DeMarcus Lawrence came out and said, boo me all you want, boo, whatever. I laid it all out there. I'm the one playing, so go ahead and boo me. Stay away from my family. And too many times we as fans get so caught up in the moment and everything like that. But how it amazes me, like, how fans like take it to a whole new level and start bringing in family with this. Okay. Now, we've given Patrick Mahomes' brother, shit. We've given Stafford's wife shit, for the things that they have said or done or whatnot. But they're saying it. They're doing it.
They're bringing it on.
They're bringing it on to themselves. So, okay, that's fine. And, that's all good and fine right there. But just, there's no room for it at any level. I am in total agreement with you as far as video evidence get banned for life, because that's exactly what needs to happen. Obviously, don't be throwing anything on the field, regardless if it's at a football player or
unless it's a dildo in Orchard Park and you don't throw it anywhere near a player.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
As long as you throw it completely away from everybody and it's just a fucking prank, I guess we can laugh about it.
Yeah. But as throwing stuff at the refs and everything like that, like you said, they did nothing wrong. They did their job. That was not on them whatsoever. Again, I will allude to it again. That was all on Dak and McCarthy right there. That last play was all on them.
And I don't think it's a secret around here that, like, I'm the first guy to point out when a ref messes up. Right.
Sure.
And I'm not afraid to do it when it hurts Dallas. I'll point out that Dallas got fucked. I bitch all the time about the way Dallas is officiated in Washington games, but I am transparent. When a ref fucks up, I'll let you know they fucked up and they need to be better. But I'm not out there throwing fucking drinks and hot dogs and fucking shit at them. But what takes the cake and tops this whole thing off is fucking Dak Prescott, man. This is downright, like, disappointing. Like if I was his dad, I'd be taking him out back and spanking his ass. A grown ass man would get an ass whooping right now, because he's after the game bitching about the officiating and we got fucked and we should have been able to spot the ball. You fucked up, buddy. You fucked up. You know that you need to hand the ball to the fucking official. As you pointed out, the receivers are constantly finding the ref to throw them the ball when they're in hurry up offense to make sure it gets spotted and all that shit. You didn't. You gave it to your center. Your center fucking spotted it farther than it should have been. The whole offensive line is lined up. The ref's got to navigate between them. You guys fucked that up. But then to say, fans got to be better because they were throwing stuff at us. Fan is short for fanatic, and we can't have that stuff. And you saw that out on the field. And then the reporter says, well, what do you think about them throwing stuff at the refs? And he's like, credit to them. No, fuck you, you fucking asshole. You should be fucking punished. You should be suspended for a game. I'm telling you right now, that should cost him a fucking game next year because you cannot condone that shit. Because all it's going to do is encourage more fans to do that shit, and it's going to fucking permeate throughout the fucking league. You cannot fucking allow that, NFL. You need to bring the hammer down on this motherfucker.
Yeah, and we'll see if it does come of that. While we've been on the air, I don't know if you've gotten the update or not, but he did come out and apologize for his comments. Basically, 2 days too late type of thing. And I get it's in the heat of the moment. You just lost. You have to do interviews and everything else like that. It was a shitty way to end. But you have to look yourself in the mirror because you are the one that created that. I'm not putting it all on him there, though. I mean, yes, he's the one that, ran the ball. He should have that mental clock in the back of his mind and everything else like that, blah, blah, blah. So for that, I'm blaming him. But Dallas as a whole, throughout the whole entire game, you had multiple opportunities and you just shit the bed. So, and unfortunately, our season ended in a brilliantly shitty Dallas way, and everyone is getting a good laugh out of it. So, good for them, whatever. But yeah, a total agreement with you. There's no room for any of that anywhere whatsoever.
Agreed. All right, we will let that dead horse lie.
Yeah.
Moving on to Kansas City, Pittsburgh. Mahomes goes for 4 bills. The Steelers were in it early.
They were
stifling Kansas City's offense. But I'm going to hang this one on somebody that it's hard to single guys out and hang things on them. But Deontay Johnson, bro, he had like 4 drops in the first quarter, and 3 of them were gone for first downs.
Yeah.
They had to punt on 3 drops in the first quarter in a game that their defense put them up 7-0.
Yeah, their defense was playing solid. Watt and Hayward
was creating havoc. Hayward was a man possessed.
Yeah, they were, and it was kind of like what we had predicted last week. Their defense is going to keep them in it. Their defense is going to win them ball game. If they had a chance to win, it was going to be because of their defense. Well, their defense had them in that ball game. They were winning. And yeah, you can't, it's playoff football. And those were easy passes too. Like I know it was cold in Kansas City. I get it, but you're an NFL player, bro.
Yes.
NFL player.
They play in Pittsburgh.
You're playing Pittsburgh too. So yeah, it shouldn't be that much different.
Right?
It really shouldn't. And I mean, and those were easy passes. Easy passes. And I know you have Big Ben as a quarterback back there who, hasn't been able to throw a football very good as the past couple years, but he was putting them on the money.
When he puts one on you got to catch it.
Yeah.
I think that changed the whole complexion of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Pittsburgh defense was, as you put it, they had them in the game. They had a lead. And if you can just extend a couple of those drives, you probably give your defense a bit of rest and a bit of confidence to keep it going. But also, it creates momentum for the offense, and maybe you score some points early in that game, and that's a whole different ballgame. I was texting back and forth with my dad, and we were talking about it before the game even started. I said the formula, as we talked about it on the show last week, the formula is stop the Kansas City offense, run the ball, dirty it up a little bit, make some drives long early in the game, keep yourselves in it late, and then hope that Ben Roethlisberger can get you some points late because he's proven he can do it. They started, right? That defensive touchdown, I even wrote him. I said, this is the formula, right? This is the formula. Your defense is winning you this ball game. You just got to stick with it and give them something to hold on to. But good Lord, like, yeah it's just that you can't drop those passes.
Nope.
That and then of course Kansas City capitalizes, hangs a 42 spot on them. It got ugly in the middle of that game. The Steelers just couldn't keep up with them because the defense was on the field fucking the whole first half.
Yeah, and they didn't really have a run game either.
Nope.
They pretty much stifled Najee Harris. I mean, when you're kind of handing the ball off in the backfield like they were on some plays, like some of those play calls where they were handing the ball off to him, like there was no chance for Najee to go anywhere. Like it was set up for failure, it seemed like. So I don't know if they really had like a good game plan as far as like their rushing attack goes or anything else like that. Cause it just looked like some of those play calls that Pittsburgh was calling, it almost looked like backyard football in a way. Yeah. It wasn't like a true set play. It was just kind of one of those that you draw up in the dirt and let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of a messy game. It was tight early, but a good send off for Ben. He got a playoff appearance in his last season.
Yeah.
All right. And the final matchup of the weekend, Los Angeles put it on the Cardinals. As we've talked about, Arizona trending downward. I think they finished the season like 2-6 in their last 8 or something like that. And this was a blowout. And 34-11, as was the case with the Tampa Bay game, as was the case, with the Buffalo game. The score, it was never really even that close.
Yeah.
Stafford looked good. They didn't ask him to throw it a lot because the running game was really chugging along. Beckham got in on the fun, throwing a dime to Cam Akers. Kudos to him for that was a beautiful pass. And then the Rams defense, when that Rams defense shows up to the field, it's suffocating, man. There's nothing you can do against that defense. When Aaron Donald is breathing down the quarterback's neck
Von
before
Miller,
the ball snapped, that defense looked really fucking good on Monday night. And that Rams team, if that's the Rams team they can take on the road to Tampa Bay, that's scary.
Sure. Absolutely. And especially if you don't, you said Matthew Stafford didn't have to pass a lot. And the past 2-3 games, like he's had 7 INTs.
Yeah.
So maybe this was a good week to kind of shoulder that. Yeah, just settle in, let the butterflies of being in a new, being in the playoffs with a new team. I know you're a veteran and everything, but playoffs with a new team, the expectations are there for him. Mm-hmm. The expectations are there. So, but yeah, I mean, it could be one of those games where, since he didn't have to pass as much, they got the running game going, that now they're going to be more of a dynamic football team here to where they can do a little bit more RPOs and stuff like that, open the playbook up a little bit more and keep those defenses on their toes. On the flip side of things, offensively for Arizona, I've been saying it all year. You've been saying it now with me. They've been trending downward. They're on that roller coaster high first part of the season, and then that second part of the season, they just start trending downwards. They had the one good game against Dallas 2 weeks ago, okay, and it was against Dallas. So, and we've seen what Dallas was capable of, last week and a few weeks prior too. So, I wouldn't even say that was a good victory for them. But it was a victory, and it was on the road. This game was played on the road, so you had to look at their on the road winning percentage this year. But Kyler Murray, man, that dude needs to kind of figure it out too. I like him, but at the same time, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting your team by just some of the stupid penalties, or not stupid penalties, but just stupid mistakes and turnovers that he's been having. And we've talked about Jalen Hurts looking down, when he's rolling out of the pocket. Well, shit, Kyler Murray, when he's scrambling and everything, he's not looking either when he throws that ball. Yep. He's just throwing it up there in hopes of one of his receivers goes up and gets it.
Yeah. I think that pick six that almost was a safety illustrates that. When he gets a little pressure, he panics. And it's the same thing we see from, several quarterbacks. It's not just these couple that we've talked about, but several quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's what separates the great ones from, the good or the mediocre ones, the ones that can stare down the pressure, stare down the tension, and keep their cool about them and make a play. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right about Murray. I question his future. I question Cliff Kingsbury's future there in Arizona. All right, so we finished up the wild card round. Let's move on to divisional round games, and we'll do some preview here for our matchups. We got our first matchup of the weekend playing on Saturday, the early game. We've got Tennessee hosting Cincinnati, hosting the Tiger King. Tennessee might get Derrick Henry back. They're saying that this week's practice slate is going to be very important for him to determine his availability or non-availability for the game. You have to think getting the mutant back is a big deal in any capacity for Tennessee, but that Cincinnati offense is humming right now, and I think they can take the show on the road. And this is going to be a good game because Tennessee's defense has been severely underappreciated this year, but they've been very solid. Stove, how do you see this one playing out?
No, I'm with Cincy here, baby. I'm with Tiger King and company. I am in total agreement that they can go into Tennessee and get the job done and get that second victory. I really do. Really do. They're hitting on all cylinders right now. So it's going to be a good matchup. I don't think King Henry is going to be much of a factor. And I also think that Tannehill will not be a factor at all.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? I think the biggest difference in this game is going to be how much Tennessee can get out of Derrick Henry, right? Because we've talked about it several times. He's kind of the great equalizer, right? He's Weapon X. He's the mutant that you're not supposed to be 6'4", 260 and run a 4.3 and be able to just dominate people the way he does. But, it's going to be a lot to ask him to come back and tote the rock 20, 25, 28 times. And that's really where he makes his hay. He beats you down and beats you down and beats you down. And then in the third and fourth quarter, he just starts breaking off 30, 40, 50-yard runs, chunking you with those runs and that speed and that size. So I think that's the big X factor in this. And Tannehill feeds off of that running game. He's a very good play action quarterback. I don't think he's a very good drop back, as you said. I don't know that he's going to be a huge factor in this game, especially if you don't get a lot out of Derrick Henry. I'm going with you. I'm going Cincy. I think that the bye week is always a bit of a detriment. We see teams come out sluggish a bit early on, and I think if Cincy gets on you early, that momentum, they build off that. And Burrow starts to feel good, and Chase starts to feel real good. And they've got more than just Burrow and Chase, too. Mixon can run the ball a bit. They've got Boyd. They've got Higgins. And
they got their tight end, Huzma, or I can't pronounce
Uzama.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he can make some plays here and there. He's not one of the guys that pops off the screen like a Kelsey or a or a Waller or a Kittle. But yeah, I'm with you. I got Cincy getting up early. I got Cincy capitalizing on some of that rusty start for the Titans that we see a lot of times from teams that got the bye, and kind of getting away from them early and neutralizing some of what Derrick Henry can bring to the table, assuming he's even healthy enough to play. All right, San Fran, Green Bay. Does San Fran build on this win over the Cowboys, go into Lambeau Field, and continue their dominance of Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs? He is 0-3 against the 49ers in the playoffs. Who you got?
Well, it's going to be a night game in Green Bay.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be fucking cold. Wind chill 0 with snow.
Yeah. Them boys from Cali.
Give me them cheeseheads, baby. Give me them cheeseheads.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on that. I like what San Fran can do against Green Bay to kind of neutralize some of that offensive firepower that Green Bay obviously has. But Rodgers is on a mission. He's on a mission
He's
this
on a
year, man.
fuck you mission.
He's on a mission to either stick it to Green Bay or stick it to Jordan Love or both.
Both. Both.
So I think he's been in the locker room getting these guys juiced up and ready to go. I don't think we're going to see as much sluggishness and rust from the Packers as we might see from Tennessee. They've had the bye before. They know how to manage it. But as you mentioned, it's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold,
really
baby.
Cold.
Yep.
And I know Jimmy G played in New England for a couple of years, but
it's been a while.
He didn't play all the time.
Yeah.
In New England, even when he was in New England.
Exactly.
So, give me the Packers. I think this is going to be Aaron Rodgers, the beginning of Aaron Rodgers' fuck you quest in the playoffs here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Sunday, though, we've got some big matchups on Sunday. We've got some matchups that I think we were anticipating potentially being matchups in the playoffs. I don't know that we would have picked Cincy against Tennessee halfway through the season. I don't know that we would have picked San Fran versus Green Bay halfway through the season. But I think we've talked quite a bit about the potential matchup of LA versus Tampa and Buffalo versus Kansas City. And we'll start this off talking LA versus Tampa. That LA defense, we just talked about it a minute ago. If that's the defense they bring down to Raymond James Stadium, Tom better have his head on a fucking swivel.
Yeah. This one's a tough one for me, but I'm gonna go with Los Angeles here.
Okay,
and it's for the fact that Tampa Bay is still coming off of injuries. I know they got some guys back last week. They still don't have Fournette. That's still to be determined for this week. But if Los Angeles defense can play like they did last week, if their run game can play like they did last week, and then if you have Stafford that does not turn the ball over and can have some RPOs with that run game, Los Angeles, I think, just has more firepower right now than Tampa. And I know you have Tom Brady down there, and that should be enough said. Tom's up there. He needs some weapons as well. He needs some Robins on his side and everything else like that. You can't just have Evans on there. He's got to have a run game too. Otherwise, you can't just be throwing it up to Evans on every single play. Give me Los Angeles. Give me Los Angeles by 10.
Ooh, healthy win. Yeah, Aaron, you're right. LA has no excuses. They've gone out and they've built this roster.
Yeah.
They've gone out and gotten the pieces that they think that they've needed to win, so they have no excuses, especially with a Tampa Bay team that's potentially going to be banged up still if Fournette and Ronald Jones miss the game. I've gone back and forth a lot on this, even before LA won Monday night, because I was just assuming LA was going to beat Arizona and we were going to get LA versus Tampa. So I've tried to kind of distill this down, and yeah, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady. That's for damn sure. It's hard to bet against Tom Brady. And distilling this down to what I think is going to decide this game is, you just mentioned it. If LA can run the ball, LA can take some of that pressure off of Stafford. You know who has the best run defense in the league still? When Sue's healthy, when Vea's healthy, Tampa just squishes the run game.
They do.
Look what they did last week to Philly. They were the best run team in the league. That RPO was supposed to, that read option was supposed to give them all these problems. I think the most important factor for the Buccaneers is that they got Levante David back last week.
Sure. Absolutely.
I think that he changes that defense. And I know they got Shaq Barrett back, and he's a big deal, right? Rushing the passer, he could give Stafford some problems with JPP on the other side. But Levante David gives them the ability to just disregard the middle of the field on defense and start to do things exotically everywhere else. And Todd Bowles is one of the best, if not the best, person, defensive mind at just designing these exotic blitzes that really confuse quarterbacks. And I know Stafford's a vet, but the Rams try to do a bunch of this motion and trick you and all this stuff. And the Buccaneers on defense just line up and say, we're going to fucking beat you. And that's what they do. And I think that that's going to negate some of that trickeration, smoke and mirrors stuff for LA. So I'm going with Tampa. I think we're going to see vintage Brady late in this game, taking them down for like a game-winning drive with a field goal. They might win by 3, right? It might be tied late. Brady goes down, gets a vintage Brady drive. What I really am excited to watch, though, is 2 fucking hotheads matching up all weekend. Jalen Ramsey and Mike Evans. Please, LA.
Yeah.
Please, LA. Make Jalen Ramsey travel with Mike Evans because I want to watch that because they may come to blows. Honestly, and like we've seen both of those dudes go at it with other players. I want to see that. Please let Jalen Ramsey travel with Mike Evans. I want to see that so bad this weekend. All right, to finish out the week, we've got Bills Mafia traveling to Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs looked pretty damn good once they got things rolling against the Steelers last week. The Bills looked goddamn good from fucking snap one this past week. So, excuse me. So I think we're going to get both teams feeling good about themselves coming into the game. Who's taking this one?
And this one right here.
Yeah.
This one is going to be a matchup.
This
one is going to be a matchup, bud.
We breaking folding tables? Or are we doing the tomahawk chop?
Golly. I want to go with this team, but I don't know if I can because of this team.
Uh-oh.
I'm waffling. I'm waffling bad too. Both teams are, I would say Kansas City has more of the firepower than Buffalo. Both teams are, they have experience playing in the cold. It's going to be cold.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like home field advantage here is gonna take over, and you're gonna get the tomahawk chop.
You going Kansas City?
I'm gonna go Kansas City on this one. I am, and it's tough. This one's tough because I'll go through a table. But I think. I just think that Kansas City, just with the weapons that they have, I think they're going to get the job done being at home. I think this is going to be more of a home field advantage scenario here with this game. But yeah, I'm going to go Kansas City.
All right. Well, my choice is based very much on something we talked about halfway through the season. Yeah.
Sorry.
It could come down to a last possession for sure. I'm going to make my choice based on something we talked about halfway through the season. And we talked about when Buffalo struggled with Indy, when they struggled with Tennessee. I said it on the show, and we talked about it several times kind of in our Facebook chat too. This Bills team was assembled this offseason not to beat Tennessee, not to beat Indianapolis, not to beat anybody else in the AFC. They were assembled to beat one team.
Yep.
One team. And that team is the team they're playing this weekend. They went out, they built the pass rush through the draft. They drafted Russo, they drafted Basham. They retained a couple of guys that helped them rush on the front four. They've got the 2 best safeties in football. Both of them are all pros. How do you have 2 fucking all pro safeties on one team? That's unbelievable. Like the Ravens were that team. The Washington when they had LaRon Landry and Sean Taylor, right? It's rare. They've got two great safeties. They've got great DBs. They've got really athletic, fast linebackers that can run down both Kelsey and that run game that seems to be something that Kansas City's leaning on recently. Jerick McKinnon had a huge game this past weekend. So I'm going Buffalo, and I'm going Buffalo for that reason. They were assembled with one goal in mind, and that was to beat this Kansas City team. And the way Josh Allen orchestrated that offense this past weekend, like, I don't think Kansas City's defense is going to stand a chance, to be honest.
I like that pick. I really do. Like it. That's a good pick. I don't think you can go wrong with this game unless you're a betting man. Like,
yeah. Good luck picking this one if you wager it.
Yeah. So no, I like that pick. I really do. Like this. I think this is the most even matchup.
Yeah, I would agree. This has a lot of intrigue too.
Yeah.
It's a rematch from last year, and the Bills went out of their way to build this team to stop the Chiefs. All right, that wraps up our playoff preview. Oh yeah, Aaron, Dawson Knox has become a revelation for that team. That dude, all he does is catch touchdowns. He's Chris Carter now. All right, so we'll do our salute to service real quick, and then we'll move on to cap and facts. All right, this week's episode goes out to Senior Chief Petty Officer Kyle Milliken, who was a Navy SEAL. He was killed during a Somalia National Army-led operation, so a joint operation with the Somali Army, supporting U.S. Africa Command. He died on May 5th, 2017, during AFRICOM operations. He was 38, sorry. And he was fighting against Al-Shabaab, which is a terrorist organization which runs some piracy operations kind of in the Africa region. And they were fighting some counter terrorism operations over there. So tonight's episode goes out to Senior Chief Petty Officer Kyle Milliken. We have the watch. All right, let's bring the energy up here. Cap facts. I pulled up one of the alerts and opened the episode on my phone. All right. Our first cap or facts is the NFL will punish Dak for condoning fans throwing shit at the refs. Stove, you think they punish him?
I'm going to say facts. They will not, but should they? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they're going to, but I think they should. I made it clear what I want them to do earlier this time. You just can't. You can't have it. If the NFL doesn't punish him for it, then it's not sending a good message.
No,
it's
like
not. This is going to happen more and more and more until something is done about it. But it's America's team. It's Jerry Jones. It's the quarterback for the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to.
You think they punish the Cowboys? As far as
I think that could be more realistic. Maybe a fine for the organization.
Maybe more of a fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Which obviously is going to be a drop of water in the ocean. But
exactly.
Maybe we see something like that. But I don't think we'll see anything from Dak. I think the apology was something that was advised to him.
For sure.
And that I think is going to be enough for the NFL to say, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck them. All right. In that same vein, cap or facts, we've heard Jerry's stance on this. or Steven has said vicariously that he expects Mike McCarthy to be the head coach of the Cowboys next season. Stove, do you expect him to be the head coach of the Cowboys next season?
God, I hope not. I'm going to say facts on this one.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going facts. I think there's just too much out there with Kellen Moore possibly being plugged away again. Dan Quinn possibly being plugged away. You saw what Dan Quinn did on the defensive side of the ball for Dallas this year. Like it's almost like you need to pay that guy to stay. You know, that's what they did with Kellen a couple years ago. I think he is not the head coach.
So Cap.
No, facts.
You think he is the head coach next year?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Cap. I'm sorry. My bad. I got
making sure I understand.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
You'd rather see them promote like a Dan Quinn.
To be honest with you, I think it's Kellen Moore's time. And I think
my brother wants Dan Quinn. He wants them to keep Dan Quinn and make him the head coach.
Then you're going to have to pay. Unfortunately,
you have to pay him again.
Unfortunately, this is where it gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of offensive coordinators out there. But I think just with Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott and that whole offensive regiment, they would be stupid to get rid of him and start over with someone else. So if that's the case, if you hire Dan Quinn, I'm fine with Dan Quinn being the head coach. You're going to have to pay Kellen Moore, though, so he doesn't go take a head coaching position, because he's getting interviewed. He's getting interviewed for a couple head coaching positions.
So I think what I'm hearing from you is that you're sold on Kellen Moore as the next head coach, and that's what you would like to see the Cowboys do is retain him, get rid of McCarthy. Dan Quinn might leave in that scenario, which I'm going to be honest, I think is already a done deal. I think he's already the head coach of the Denver Broncos for 2022.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that hurts because he had that defense playing well at times throughout the season, especially creating turnovers. But, yeah, I think I'm 10 hours ago, I just said Cap because it was the right move. But it's so weird now that like it feels like Jerry's just he's gonna be stubborn about it and say, I know better than you. I'm gonna keep this guy around no matter how fucking bad it makes us look, no matter how poorly he does as the head coach. Like I'm gonna stick with my stance of Cap because I do think that finish to that game is gonna be enough for Jerry to say that was too much egg on our face. But man, those statements from fucking Steven today, like maybe they stick with him, which is great news as an NFC East fan, not of the Cowboys.
Yeah, right.
McCarthy sucks.
Yeah.
All right. Cap or facts, Cliff Kingsbury will be coaching the Cardinals next season.
This one I'm going facts. I think this might be his final year doing it, but facts.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it would be a knee-jerk reaction for them to let him go, but 2 weeks ago there was speculation that both he and Steve Keim would be out, if the season didn't go well. They had almost essentially wrapped up a playoff spot in like week 11, so I'm with you that it's facts, but I also am 100% in agreement with you that next year is a do or die season.
Yeah, and it's not just making the playoffs. It's you got to win in the playoffs. You got to somewhat go deep, and you
can't go 2-8 down the fucking stretch.
I was just gonna say you cannot have that second half of the season stretch like you have had your past three seasons.
Yep, for sure. I'm with you 100%. I think he's on a short leash next year. And I don't know that they're opposed to an in-season firing either if they get off to a slow start next year. All right. Cap or facts, the Bills are the best team in the AFC as we speak.
Wouldn't you go cap on this one and go with the seeding in the playoffs?
You just picked the Chiefs, and you said it was only based on home field. So if the Bills were at home, would you pick them over the Chiefs?
Yeah, if the Bills were at home, I'd pick the Bills.
I don't know that it would be a stretch for you to say.
I know. I'm gonna go cap.
Okay.
On this one, and it's a very hard. I'm sorry, I take that back. It's a very soft cap.
Yeah.
Soft cap on this one.
Very hard decision, but a very soft cap. Nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, Gary Freeze.
You got that Major League Baseball soft cap.
Yeah. Mr. Senior, I'm sorry. I'm going against you on this one. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm with my dad on this one. I think after that display this past weekend and the fact that I talked about Devin Singletary, right? They've got somebody that they can turn around and just stick it in their belly. I don't care who it was that emerged from that Buffalo backfield, but somebody had to, and it has been. They call him Motor. I think that has been the difference for them down the stretch. They're still the number one scoring defense in the league, and I'm all in on this Bills team right now. The way they looked this last weekend, I'm circling the wagons, and I've got them winning the AFC. Man, that performance put it over the top. I picked them last week when we were talking about Super Bowl, but that performance last weekend for me reinforces that. So I feel confident in that pick now, and I'm facts on this. The Bills right now are the best team in the AFC, and it's the best time of year to be the best team in the AFC.
Exactly. No, yeah, for sure.
All right, cap or facts? Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback in the NFL next season.
It pains me to say this. I'm gonna say facts on this one, and just for the fact that the Eagles spent, was it a late first round, early second round pick on him?
Yeah. They moved up to get him late.
They moved up to get him. So you have that money there. Now I know it's the rookie money, but still, like, you have, as of right now, you have Minshew back there. But here's the other thing that it could decide this though too going forward. They have 2 picks, I believe, in the first round. Three.
They could trade some shit.
They could trade some stuff around. Yes.
Yeah.
But this isn't a question for Philadelphia here.
Does another team take a chance on him as a starting quarterback?
I mean, Houston. I mean, what do they have to lose?
Yeah.
Jets. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going facts on this one. I truly think that the Eagles will trade, or they'll trade some of their draft picks for some experienced offensive people, maybe some defensive people, or they'll use those draft picks for those needed spots on offense and defense, but just not at quarterback.
Okay. I'm going to go the opposite with a caveat. So I'm going cap because I don't at all believe he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Move him to slot, move him to tailback, do some crazy shit, run the wildcat. He can throw the ball every once in a while when nobody's expecting it. But my caveat to that cap is I'm saying that he is not a starting quarterback in the NFL because I'm assuming that Philly's going to move him, that they are going to move on from him. So the only way to me that I'm wrong about this being cap is if Philly keeps him and they say we can continue to build around him. I don't think they can. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. So I'm saying cap. I don't think another team is going to take a chance on him at quarterback especially after that display and what they see from him on film. So the only way he's a starting quarterback is, as you say, if they decide they're going to stick with him and use that draft capital on building the offense and the defense. All right. Cap or facts? Aaron Rodgers, Aaron, Mr. State Farm, Mr. Jeopardy, is the MVP this season. There's been a lot of debate recently, too, because a lot of people are talking about how Brady led the league in passing yardage and touchdowns and whatnot. So is Rodgers your MVP?
Rodgers is my MVP. So this is big old facts on this one.
Big facts.
Big facts. And I'm gonna do the Rodgers. Discount double check. Rodgers.
I miss those.
I miss those commercials.
That dude was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm facts with you on this one. I think he wins it, but I do think that those people that are arguing Brady are justified,
sure,
because of the season he's had. But I just think that what Rodgers did, winning the 1 seed, they just look unstoppable in a lot of games this year. I think he wins it, and I think it's splitting hairs between him and Brady, but I'm going to give the nod to Rodgers.
Yeah.
All right. Last cap or facts here before we move on to thanks, Haskins. Playoff. Oh, Amy's got facts on Rodgers too. Yep. I like it. All right. Playoff Irish Patty Mahomes is here and taking the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Stove? Since you're the one that had them beating Buffalo.
Yeah, I know.
Does he finish now the deed next week?
And now that I know we have Kansas City Chiefs fans here, I kind of have to say facts. Otherwise, I'm going to get scolded otherwise.
Yeah. The Trotniks are in the house.
Yeah, I think they got it figured out. We talked early on when they were, 1-4, whatever, 1-3, that they did not have it figured out offensively, defensively. I think they have it figured out, and so I'll go facts on this one.
Okay. Well, I kind of spoiled my decision on this. I picked the Bills, and I've got the Bills winning the AFC. And I think, like I said earlier, that the performance against the Patriots just reinforced my pick from last week, the way they played in that game. I'm not making a lot of friends in the Trotnik family right now. But I've got cap on this one. I've got the Bills winning the AFC. All right.
Chiefs versus Green Bay I like it.
Super Bowl 1 rematch.
Yeah. To be honest with you, Chiefs, Green Bay, Buffalo, Green Bay. I think.
Imagine this though, scenario wise.
Okay.
Buffalo wrecks New England in the wild card round, beats Patty Mahomes in the second round, and then whoever they play in the AFC title game. But
it'd be Tampa.
Yeah. But Tampa Bay makes the Super Bowl, and they get to win the Super Bowl against Tom Brady after knocking off Bill Belichick. The city of Buffalo is going to go fucking nuts. There will be no folding tables.
There will be no folding tables. There will be no alcohol left.
They better ship in some new trucks if that happens, because it's going to get fucking buck wild up there in Buffalo. So
for sure.
All right. Let's move on to thanks, Haskins. All right. You want to go first?
So we're probably going to be in the same game here.
Okay.
I'll go first on my end. You can take the second part of it. Yeah, it's you've said it this year with Washington football team, the inability to prepare week in, week out, and the way you come out and play and finish halves, start a half. It was like the Dallas Cowboys were ran by the Washington football team and Ron Rivera and company this week. It was asinine to put that type of play on the field for that playoff game against the 49ers team who is very capable of kicking your ass. And then the bonehead mistakes down the stretch by Dak, by McCarthy, to not even put a shot in the fucking end zone. Not one shot. Not one shot in the end zone. And have your season end that way.
Yeah.
Thanks, Haskins.
I even said it in the group chat. Like,
I know.
I wanted so badly to just give you guys a hard time. But, like, I hurt for you guys. And my brother's a Cowboys fan, so I think that softens me a little bit when it comes to these sorts of things with the Cowboys. But, like, I can't imagine as a fan watching a playoff game end that way. Like, I just can't imagine.
Not from an NFL team.
I just can't. Like, that's so careless.
You can see that. Like, I could see that happening with the Jaguars.
Right.
The Jets, the Texans this year.
Not in the fucking playoffs.
Not in the playoffs.
From a playoff team. Like, that just
yep.
I legitimately hurt for you guys. As much as I just wanted to pile on because the Cowboys lost, and I eventually did. I gave you your moment to hurt and grieve, and then the memes started flowing. But dude, just for a game to end that way, like, that is the most heinous. Yeah. That shit was so good.
Yeah, we did.
That shit was so good. But that is the most heinous way to lose a playoff game. Like, you could throw a pick six to end the game, and I don't think it would be that bad. Because you just, like you said, you didn't even get the ball over the goal line with a chance at a touchdown to tie and potentially win that game, assuming the extra point, right? Like, painful. Yeah. So I'm going to pile on a little bit on the thanks Haskins on that, because that is so bad. Yeah. But I'm going to revisit something we talked about earlier, and I'm not going to pile on Dak because I already gave him his business. But the way the fans reacted at the end of that game, I don't care how frustrated you are with how your team performed. I don't care. There is no place in sports for reacting like that. Throwing things on the field and throwing things on the ice, there's certain places for it, right? Hat tricks and sweeps and stuff like that, right? You do that, but you don't do it in a manner that could hurt somebody. You're doing it as part of a celebration. So I'm going to take that out of the equation, right? Those neat traditions that you can, brooms for sweeps and stuff like that, right? That's aside. Yeah. All of that aside, there is no room in sports for fans to show their ass and start throwing shit on the field. And Philly fans, every time I give them a hard time about throwing snowballs at Santa Claus, ice balls at Santa Claus, they want to say, it was 40, 50 years ago, or he was drunk on the field, or blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking care. There's no place for it. You threw snowballs at Santa Claus, you threw beer bottles at fucking Cowboys players. There's no room for it. I hope, deeply hope, that at least some, if not all, I really would like all of those fans to have been caught on camera and banned for life. But some of those fans, I know there's video. Get them the fuck out of there forever. There's no room in sports for it, period. And for that, Cowboys fans, thanks Haskins, man. All right, let's move on to we'll lighten the mood a little bit here. Finish up with some good stuff. Stove?
Hey, you go. All right, you go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna praise somebody I've given a hard time over the last couple of seasons. I'm gonna praise Odell Beckham Jr. with my damn K this week, and it's a two-parter because he made a couple of big-time plays in that game. I'm gonna start with the throw because I mentioned it earlier, that backwards pass, and then he makes a nice throw, and we've seen him be able to do that in the past. Him and Jarvis Landry are very good about it. Yeah, Aaron, go ahead. Go ahead. Tiger King all the way. I'm on the bandwagon. You might as well get on there.
Yeah.
My team was eliminated before last week. But that throw to Akers, great throw for a wide receiver to be able to kind of dual threat like that. It's great to see it. LSU buddies him and Jarvis Landry. We see those guys do it quite often. So that's part one. But part two is that touchdown catch he had in the back corner of the end zone going up over the DB. I hope it's on You Got Moss next week. I expect it to be. That was a big time catch. And that was, yeah, absolutely. And that was the catches we've come to expect from a guy like Odell Beckham, because he's done it in the past when he's been healthy and happy and whatnot. So I think the Rams have done a really good job of bringing him along, and we're starting to see that they're reaping some of the awards. And for those two plays this weekend that were big in moving them on in the playoffs, damn, Kay.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I was surprised you went there. I like it. I like the direction.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to go with a team that does something that is seldom heard of. And in the baseball world, like you said earlier, a perfect game.
Yes, sir.
The Buffalo Bills and what they did to that New England Patriots team and Bill Belichick and company. Kudos. Major kudos to you guys. You guys brought that big dick energy.
Big dick energy.
And you kept it on the throttle all game long. 7 straight touchdowns. No turnovers. No punts. It was the perfect scenario for a perfect game. And for that, Buffalo, Bills Mafia, I salute you. And damn, Kay.
That's the perfect send-off. Well done. Well done. Yeah, well done, Buffalo, but well done, Stowe. That's the perfect send-off. All right. Any closing statements, Stowe?
Man, you know, the one thing that I'll touch base on here, and we talked about it last week, about the Monday night game and how the NFL getting money and, you know, this and that. The one thing that I will leave here with is I did not like the Monday night game to begin with. They could have done like what we talked about, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, just like they have before. I think the only good thing that has came from the Monday night game, and if you haven't had a chance to, and I don't know
I know where you're going.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to listen to or just watch, if they do it again, I don't think they will, since it's not a Monday, but who knows? They might. Tune into the Manning cast when they're doing some of these games.
I've come around.
Yeah, like it. To be honest with you, it is better than the Monday night crew, in my opinion. Eli still gets. It still takes some getting used to listen to Eli talk.
Eli's tough.
Yeah, but Peyton drives that thing, and you know he's got a great sense of humor, and just the people that they have come on throughout the 4 quarters. They have one person each quarter that stays for probably a good portion of that quarter. Just some good insight from the Mannings and from whoever they bring on there as well. And it's just some good back and forth banter that you don't get with the ESPN crew or anything else like that. So that would be the only thing that, if you haven't seen or tuned into the Manning cast, if they do it again this postseason, which I hope they would, but I doubt it, because it is an ESPN affiliate there. Check them out. It is worth tuning into for a while.
Yeah, I'm with you, and we're sharing a brain because I was going to close with I like Louis Riddick. I'm not a huge fan of Brian Greasy.
Yeah.
I do like the team that they have over on the regular ESPN cast because I think Lewis really
he brings a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, he brings a lot of for sure. I love that guy.
Yeah,
I wanted him to be the GM of Washington for fucking 10 years now.
I was just gonna say, yeah, he was up for GM for a few teams.
Yeah, so I think he might end up in Chicago. Good for them if they do get him. But I was gonna say I am actually coming around. I know I fucking hate the Mannings just on principle, but I am coming around to that Manning cast. I think that he and Eli, Peyton and Eli actually do have some good back and forth. Eli is still really tough to listen to and speak, but I'm with you. If you didn't catch it this year, I'm with you. I don't think they're going to have any more Manning casts this year, but definitely check it out next year if they bring it back for sure. Because I think that was a pretty solid evolution for them throughout the season. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. That brings us to a close. Big week coming up, divisional round. We'll know who the AFC and NFC championship participants are next week when you see us. If you haven't seen the advertisement, though, in about 15 minutes, Raul's going to go live with some professional disc golfers. For any of you that are interested in the world of disc golf, if you've ever played, if you've ever paid attention to it, the two people on the show have signed multi-million-dollar endorsement deals. So disc golf is not the butt end of a joke, as maybe some people will treat it. So if you have an opportunity, check that out. The Backyard Chains podcast will start at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central. And for any of you on the West Coast, 7 West or 7 Pacific. But for the Big Stove, this has been the Backyard Blitz. I'm Gary. We are out.